Hello, this is Brett. I'm going to be outlining the design of my guitar pedal. For now, it's going to be called the Chaos Effect. It's planning on being a two-stage guitar pedal, one with a distortion and one side with tremolo. Individual switches allow for either both effects to be used at the same time or each one to be used individually. Inputs on the right, outputs on the left. Plan on having all the knobs. I know how to control a distortion in the pedal, just not the gain, so I haven't labeled that yet. As for the tremolo, we have the time step, which would be how long the cutout is. Say if that's a wave, and then the sine wave coming over it would be cut off right here. You know, you won't see like the down part, and then it'll come back up again. Frequency is self-explanatory, and there's an LED which will flash depending on what frequency it is set at. So that is my original design. I took a distortion schematic off the internet and I modified it slightly to my liking. If you look over here at my computer, wow, this looks terrible. Basically, it's a single BJT running the distortion, so it's just acting as an amplifier, and it's just, you know, here's the input, here's the output, and on the output, right before it goes into the tremolo stage, or after the tremolo stage, I have two diodes hooked up in inverse coming off the output going into ground. Now what that does is it clips the top and the bottom of the wave, which gives you the distortion. So instead of having a regular sine wave, you have a sine wave that looks similar to that on both the top and the bottom. So that's where your distortion comes from. Opposite of that, also on the output, coming off of the top leg, which I can't remember the name of it, a 10K resistor, just for a baseline. So if you have the pot down here at 0, you won't break open the circuit. This pot's a 100K pot, and at the minimum setting, which would be just the 10K resistor acting on it, it'll give you the regular sine wave, and at the maximum, it'll give you the maximum clipping for a good distortion. That is the basis behind the distortion, and the tremolo itself acts on a square wave cutting off the power supply to an op amp. So 555 timer up here, the output going into the power of an op amp. I'm using a low power op amp specifically designed for mid to high frequency audio applications, and essentially a square wave is coming out of this, 9 volts and 0 volts acting upon here. So the input is going to be that, and the output, depending on where it's being cut off, you're not going to have that sine wave out there, and that's going to give you the choppy effect. And that's the whole point of a tremolo. Through the internet, I found out that an actual sine wave output works better. It's smoother than a square wave, but I don't know how to get a sine wave out of a 555, and I do know you can get a pretty good triangle wave. So I'm hoping that's a good what's the word? A good compromise. There you go. So hopefully those two effects will work in tandem with each other quite well. And actually, looking at this now, if this is the input and this is the output, you always want to apply distortion before you do anything with the tremolo, because if you just distort a tremolo, it's just going to look like a mess. So I actually have to erase those too. So that's the design process behind my guitar pedal.